There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small. Some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.
What's going on?
Here we go, my mic is now working. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Van Ree. This is the Supercheap Auto East Coast V8 series with me over Mark Duggan, coming to you tonight from Magny Cours in France. The boys are already 10 minutes into their 30-minute qualifying session. James Scott, one and a bit seconds ahead of Hobbo already on this track. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, very good, John. Away last week, but back this week on a very tricky technical circuit for these V8s at Magny Cours. Smaller field than usual, but should be some good racing still.
Yeah, definitely some quality drivers. Of course, Vets raced season one here. Sorry, round one of the season here. So I'll be interested to see how some of our Vets drivers go. Big shout out to Pete Keller here in the chat already. Just going to quickly put the track map up so people can have a look at the track. Of course, Magny Cours, very famous old Formula One circuit. One of the ones I idolised a bit growing up, and particularly in some of the earlier sims that came out. Of course, we start through the grand combo curve up through Estrol, the big sweeping corner, turn 3. Really got to look after your tyres all day so you can survive that corner. And then we come through the fast sweeping Gulf, brake hard into the Adelaide hairpin. And then once we get out of Adelaide hairpin, we've got to sweep the car through Nuremberg, pull it up, and then get through 180-degree hairpin again. Another corner that you've really got to look after the tyres. Off track in that part of the world will kill you if you're not looking after the track line. We then come out through 10 and 11 and up through Imola, through 12 and 13, and then up through Chateau de l'Or, which is 14 at the top of the hill. And then it's a downhill run into the Lychee complex through 15 and then through the chicane at 16, 17 and back onto the straight, under the startaway straight. It is a ripping track. Be interesting to see how these boys tackle it. I know I enjoyed it when we raced here in Vets.
Oh, I had the opposite feeling towards it. Just didn't have a good night, but it is a pretty good track to drive on. A lot of fun.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Josh Barella in the chat as well. And at the moment, we'll just have a bit of a look at race control. And it's letting us know that Tim Mulford has blown his motor and he's out of qualifying. So not a good start for Timmy.
No, not the way you want to start your night, but being a fairly small field shouldn't affect him too much, and he'll have opportunity to work his way through the field come race time.
And of course, these lads have 56 laps to contend here tonight with 2 compulsory pit stops and only 2 sets of tyres. So going to be some interesting strategy on tyres. As I was saying before, tyre wear around here was quite excessive when the Vets boys came to town. So we're looking forward to see how these guys tackle it with their respective tyre sets. So at the moment, we've got James Scott, Blake War Boys with a .8 behind James Scott. That's not a bad effort. Brenton Hobson He is sitting in P3. Youngie back in 4. Cameron Jones, one of the new drivers at 95 Sim Sports, running around in 5th. Damien Johnstone from SSR in 6th. The big fish, Michael Whiting from Fishy Motorsports in 7th. Sean Rigby in 8th. Harrison Dengate 9th. Matty Mascoud rounds out our top 10. So still plenty of time left for these boys. We've still got over 15 minutes left on the clock. And still haven't seen a time set from Jordan Ross. Battling against a new wheel. Managed to get himself up and running again by only missing a week. They must be pretty chuffed with that one. Definitely going to be some good contests here tonight, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting. Cameron Jones has moved into the 9.5 Sim Sports stable. Good pickup for them. Cameron's a very quick driver, and yeah, I really like Cam's style. He's pretty aggressive, but he certainly has periods where he's just blindingly quick. So if he could nail that down and get some consistency, he'll be very, very tough to beat, and he's in a good, strong team now.
That's what I'm looking forward to. He really is become a consistent driver. We've watched Cam in the East Coast Series over the last 3 or 4 seasons, and he has that aggressive attack, but he also now knows when to play and when to sit back and wait for his opportunities.
Yeah, he probably hasn't been in the car as much as he probably would have liked this season, but he's here with us tonight, so it'd be interesting to see how he goes.
Yeah, looking forward to it as he comes out of the 180-degree hairpin. Sort of see this slight uphill rise, not a massive undulation, but some fast-flowing chicanes as we come through Imola. Then up to the shadow at top of the hill here. Got to watch the curbing around here a little bit. There's some very aggressive yellow curbs, sausage curbs, that you really got to be making sure you stay well away from.
Yeah, and if I recall correctly, that last chicane can be pretty deadly if you hit it at the right angle too.
It's coming into there now. You can see the big yellow curb. You've got to roll over it, get the car straightened. So definitely using all of the track out wide. And definitely entry here through Astrol. Need to control those tyres. You can hear the tyres screaming as we head down to the Adelaide hairpin. A very fast circuit. Get the braking point right, pull her up. Little bit deep here. That's all right. Then out of the Adelaide hairpin. Continuing on. Gotta watch the yellow curve here as well. A bit hard on that one. The other thing with this circuit as well, very deadly for off tracks. Well, sorry, not so much off tracks and slowdowns. So the guys have to be really careful that they don't get themselves into a bit of trouble early. Only 25 incident point limit, so gotta be very careful with that one. But Cameron sitting in 5th. Not too bad of a start. Of course.
Yeah, doing a great job, and yeah, like you said, John, it's very, very tough with the slowdowns around here. I know when I was practicing for the round 1 of the vets, I was left scratching my head and looking at replays quite a bit, trying to work out where I was picking up the slowdowns, and yeah, it's a very tricky technical circuit.
Very difficult. I remember too that entry into pit as well. You've really got to be on that brake quick. I think it's only a 60-kilometre pit lane here. That's going to make it interesting for some of these boys to get right.
Yeah, absolutely, because you don't actually have to, you don't get off the race line to enter pit lane. So, and because you've got to brake so hard and get the car pulled up, it can affect the people following. So, yeah, everybody's going to have to be aware of that one tonight.
Let's see how we go. James on a slow out lap here, about to get going. Here we go, attacking the circuit. So using, get the old drone cam going, see how much of the curb that he uses. And I think he's backed out of this lap already. And the man's going past, of course, Christian Smart, his teammate. Christian sitting down in 8th. Only 2/10 behind Michael Whiting in front of him. Hey, Christian, one of the vets drivers that's been here before. Still haven't got a time set from Jordan Ross. Hopefully he's not suffering from gear failure. The old joys of setting new gear up, of course, is sometimes you can bugger up your setup. And a big shout out to Steve Murray in the chat as well. That's still James Scott, still about a second ahead of Warboys, Hobson, Young, Cameron Jones, Damien Johnstone, Whiting, Smart.
Jordan Ross bails out of another lap, so just on 10 minutes to go now, so he hasn't got too much longer to get one right.
Yeah, starting back in 15th, probably won't be too bad with a medium-sized field. As Christian Smart bails out of his lap. Let's have a quick check on Hobbo. Hobbo now under a fair bit of pressure from Paul Young behind. Only 8/10 in that battle.
Yeah, good to see Paul back inside the top 5 there. He had a tough outing, not sure what happened last week. I wasn't here, but week before I know he was not up inside the top 10 where he usually resides. So good to see Paul bouncing back.
Yeah, he had a tough one last week at Sandown. Hobbo using all the curb there, gets across the line. 155, so it doesn't go any quicker. A few boys having some tough outings last week. A couple of talking points that we might quickly talk about. Of course, there was some rumours going around of macros and all sorts of things on Wednesday after the racing, due to one of the competitors' rear brake lights coming on at unusual times. So after spending my Wednesday lunchtime watching the replay from a far chase view, and then other people going and analysing the telemetry, it definitely came back as some worn out / faulty V3 pedals after some extensive testing and looking into it. So nothing to fear there, and just the administration of the league made a bold choice to get everyone's telemetry. So there's been a bit of telemetry checking going on, and I think they're going to keep that ante up for a little while, I think, just to make sure everyone is happy and okay. So hopefully that's not one of the reasons why we've got reduced numbers tonight. But Hobbo, he is on his in-lap here. James Scott in the pits, Blake Warboys. He's the man sitting P2, getting 2 wheels off the ground there through Imola. And he's having a cracking trot at it at the moment. See what Blake can do coming down into Lai Chi. And he's into the pits, so he's bailed on that one. So not long to go. We're down into our last 7 minutes. You boys heading out. The boss man, James Scott. I think he's sitting there waiting to go. I think he's quite comfortable. Hobson, though, he's going out for another look. See what he can do. Of course, the circuit's 4.4 kilometres long.
Sure, just on watching Jordan Ross again, and he's just had a big power slide as well, so this won't be a great lap for him, but I think he needs to get something posted on the board soon.
See what he can do. No, he's going to bail into the pits on this run. Of course, it's circuit is some 250 kilometres from Paris in Nevers region. So James Scott on an outlap. Just going to see what he can do. Of course, to put his 138.018 into comparison, Michael Schumacher did a 115, or holds the record at the circuit with a 115.377 back from 2004 in his Ferrari. We better compare something. GT3 cars do a 136.215 around this place. So James setting some cracking times when you think about that.
Yeah, expect nothing less from James Scott around any circuit, to be honest.
And the Carrera Cup Porsche cars do a 139.5. And here's one for the Australians, Mark. Hugh Barter holds the Formula 4 record here with a 139.82. So
Pretty good time there as well.
Cracking young talent, young Hugh. Forward to see what he can do in the future. Of course, Brenton O'Brien reminds me, former ERT driver. Or current ERT, former, I think, is probably the right word to use. Of course, racing in Formula 3 at the moment, which we missed out on getting to watch on the weekend due to the floods at Imola. Formula 1 is back this week with Monaco. So we're down into our last 5 minutes. James Scott still on a slow outlap here. War Boys, 0.9 behind. Paul Young still hasn't closed that gap. He's still 0.8 behind. And here we go. We might jump on board in the cockpit with James. As he has a crack here. Through the Grand Curve. Into Estrol. Of course, James, the most winningest driver in the East Coast Series. They had a championship win. Another interesting statistic. As he rolls out of Adelaide to the Nuremberg ring. There's a few boys out there I know were watching that over the weekend, the Nuremberg 24-hour. Sad to see the Dacia Logan get written off. James Scott on song here. Heading up into Chateau d'Or. And he's bailed. Bailed on this one. Let's check on War Boys. He looks like he's on a slow outlap. Hobson. On an outlap as well. This is where the battle's going to be. Gates got himself into the top 10. Smart sitting in 8th. Can the champ close the gap and get himself on the front row? That is the question. Coming down to the Lychee complex. Bouncing her off the curbs, and we're away. So his last crack at it. Holds the line beautifully through Astral. Gets it pulled up nicely in the Adelaide hairpin. Nicely hits the apex of 180. Bit of wheel spin coming out. A little bit back on War Boys in the first sector. Dengate with an off track. Puts him out of quali now. As the checkered flag for qualifying comes out. Hobson bounces it over the curb. And Hobbo gets himself into P2. Cracking final two sectors there. War Boys. Pressure's on. Coming down into Lychee. Can he bounce it over the curb? And War Boys doesn't improve. That sees him sitting back in P3 now. So it's an SSR lockout on the front row. Brenton Hobson in P2. 0.12 back to War Boys. Paul Young. He's on his lap here. Can he improve? Can Youngie get himself onto the front row? Whoa! That's not the way to finish it. Paul will be a little bit disappointed with that. Hopefully that fixed that sound problem there for you, Steve. So War Boys, he's the last man on track. We know that they've both crossed the line. So definitely waiting for the clock to wind down here in the last part of qualifying. But we have our top 10, which has been a very interesting battle, I think, between Hobson and War Boys and Young. So great to see Paul Young on the second row. And see if the grid will come up for us. Not quite yet. Still counting down the time. I think it's going to be an interesting race, Mark. Small field, but these boys definitely have to work for it, I think. As we have a quick look at that grid. James Scott with a 138.018. Cracking time for this place. Brenton Hobson from Synergy Sim Racing shares the front row with him in P2. On the second row of the grid, we've got Blake Warboys from WK&P Sim Sports alongside Banter Alliance's Paul Young. So next one we have after that on the third row is 9.5 Sim Sports Cam Jones alongside Synergy Sim Racing's Damien Johnstone. And then we have the big fish, Michael Whiting from Fishy Motorsports in row 4 alongside Christian Smart from Synergy Sim Racing. And then on row 5, we've got Harrison Dengate from WK&P Sim Sports alongside Sean Rigby. And then Synergy Sim Racing's Maddie Mascoud, the Novocastrian in P11. P12 is Warren Davis from the Banter Alliance. As we click over the page, then we also have in 13th, Synergy Sim Racing's Jamie McKnight alongside Phoenix Racing Team, Tim Mulford. Jordan Ross didn't get a time set. The Synergy Sim Racing team boss, going to have all the work in front of him here, sitting in 15th. And then we have Sebastian as race control tonight. And we have Richard Varela as the safety car driver. I think we're on for a good race here, lads.
I think if you take James Scott out of the equation, it's a pretty tight field, really. So be interesting to see if Jordan Ross is just trying to get the feel for new equipment, and we'll see him have a storming drive. And yeah, like I said, James Scott, take him out of the equation, and the rest of the field is quite close.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what the rest of the field does here. Let's get ourselves organised very quickly. A couple of turning on that shouldn't turn on. Go to race mode. That one going. That one going. Righto. Not long to go. These boys are about 20 seconds away from the flag dropping here. Some last minute preparation. James Scott sitting on the front row. James does have a poor track record getting the car off the line quickly, so it'll be interesting to see tonight how he goes with that one. Looking forward.
Yeah, not sure what happened with him last week, but he has made a marked improvement the last 3 or 4 races. So yeah, hoping James can do himself plenty of favours and get off the line quickly.
And 3, 4, 5. We're away. A little bit slow. Warboys with a bit of a jump behind, but Scott getting away in the end there. Warboys lining up beside Hobson. Looks like these boys are going to file into line pretty quick here. And what we come to expect with a small field, looks like they're all going to get through cleanly.
It looked like James didn't get an initial good bite, but then the second phase of his start was excellent. So done a good job so far.
Oh, a little bit of argy-bargy in Adelaide. I think that might have been Maddie Mascoud involved there. Keep a bit of an eye on all these guys.
Yeah, tricky run up to Adelaide there. It's very high speed, and you only got to miss your brake marker by a metre, and you find yourself carrying way too much speed in there.
Jones has lost a spot, a little bit of a battle going on here. I think with Damien Johnstone. Dengate a little bit loose there at the back. 3 wide into the Lychee complex. Sorry, that was into the shadow. They've all basically managed to get themselves sorted though. Interesting spot to be 3 wide around this place. Jordan Ross already up 5 spots.
Yeah, just looking at Jordan up 5 spots, but he's up 7 now. Yeah, I don't think there's any place on this track where you can really afford to be 3 wide.
No. Oh, someone's in the wall in the background there. Let's try and see who that was. That looked like...
Jamie McKnight, is it?
No, it's Christian Smart. Let's go jump on the Supercheap Auto replay. So Christian obviously had a bit of a brake issue there. Drove himself off the road. Took Dengate with him. Looks like Davis and McKnight coming through. Tries to get the power down. Gets clipped by McKnight into the wall. And it's how's your father? A bit of friendly fire from his teammate.
Yeah, it's not what you want to see from teammates there.
I think the team boss will be happy. He's got himself up 7 spots. A bit of clean air in front now. Hunting down Cameron Jones. And jump back up the front. Have a quick look. James Scott has got himself to a 1.8 second lead. As we know so well with James, he won't be fuel saving. Refuses to do it. Doesn't enjoy it. Hobbo in P2. Warboys P3. Young 4. And Michael Whiting into P5. The big fish up 2. Good start from him. John Stone in 6th. Cameron Jones, the loser, he's down 2. And then we've got Ross, Dengate and Rigby rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Cam Jones down 2 spots, and as you probably remember from racing here in the Vets, John, it's a very difficult place to execute a pass. Only real clean opportunity is at into Adelaide at the end of the back straight there. Tom Freer asking the question, is J. Ross the fastest? No, that'll be Scotty, and then the next second fastest will be J. Ross. J. Ross has clicked over his last lap of 1:39.91. Scotty was a 1:39.06. Everyone else is in the 140s. Hey, definitely flying. He's Jordan, so keep an eye on him. Start to close that gap to Jones, I think. But the champ, Hobson, sitting in P3. War Boys, we missed that. War Boys got past, sorry, I was looking at other charts. Have a look at that. It's just an easy pass coming out of the Lychee complex. So let's just keep an eye, see if War Boys opens that gap up. Might jump on with Jones. He's tucked up behind John Stone. Whiting and just in front of these boys. And Jordan Ross, the man on the move. Starting to put a bit of pressure on this battle pack. It seems like his qualifying laps were not really qualifying laps, and he's got plenty of speed in the car. He's just given himself a bit of a task to do over the course of the race.
Making himself work for it. He wants that title of driver of the day. Keeps going like this, he'll be on for it.
Yeah, without a doubt, he's up 7 spots. Next biggest mover is Michael Whiting and Tim Mulford, both up 2.
Won't be long, I think, before we see something happen with this group in here. Either Jones has got to make a move or John Stone, or he's going to have Jordan Ross making a move on him.
Yeah, John Stone has backed Cam Jones right up into Jordan Ross's path now, so Jones will be defending while trying to attack. Michael Whiting doing an excellent job up in P5, looking pretty stable out there, doing a great job to be up 2 positions.
Here he comes. Joss goes to 8. Now J. Ross, of course. Jordan has won 4 races in the East Coast Series, so he does know what it takes to get to the front of the grid. So let's jump back up. Let's see how Hobson's getting on. That gap's opened up a little bit, the War Boys. War Boys has got away. Paul Young tucked in behind, half a second back. Tom Freer letting us know it took Jordan Ross 6 hours to put his wheel together on Sunday. He would have loved it. Would have been 6 hours of fun. Right, Hobbo and Youngie smart. He knows to sit back here, probably save a bit of fuel, look after the tyres. Of course, got to do 2 compulsory pit stops. Throws back the other scenario of when do you go long and when do you do the short stint with the old tyres. A little bit of strategy thought for these guys. So just some interesting stats as well. Adam Briggs is 110, Corey McFarlane's 110, Hobbo's won 6 races. Kobe Jones is 1-4, Luke Rosella's 1-4 as well. Dylan Rudd's 1-4, Warboys is 1-4, Chris Smart's 1-3. Of course, halfway through the 6th season of the V8 series.
Yeah, loads of great drivers in that list you were reading out there, John.
Yeah, definitely had some good names come through this place. Massive save. Might jump back. Jordan Ross looking like he's going to make a move here. He's tucked up behind Damien Johnstone. Little twitch there from Johnstone. Opens the door up. Next man up the road's the big fish. Michael Whiting from Fishy Motorsports. So definitely a barnstorming drive here from Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely, doing an excellent job. He might not be any good on the spanners according to Tom Freer, but steering that wheel, he's doing an excellent job.
Doing a cracking job. As we can see, Sean Rigby keeping Harrison Dengate a bit honest here. This is the battle course for the position 9 and 10. Coming down into Lai Chi, he has a bit of a sneaky look. Tucks back in behind. Rattling away nicely. And might just jump back up. Whiting and J. Ross. Just going through the battles here at the moment. This is the closest one on track, down to 0.2 of a second. Coming down to the Adelaide hairpin. Side by side. Big lock up from Johnstone in the background. Jordan Ross through for another one. And Jones through on Johnstone in the background there as well. So this shows a little bit of a brake lock up. Can cost you a bit around this place.
I noticed a couple of laps back, Cameron Jones was struggling to keep the car on track, but he's obviously found his rhythm again. He made up quite a bit of ground there, and yeah, he's got past Damien Johnstone, and he's now heading back up towards the back of Michael Whiting.
Yeah, he's definitely got himself back in it. I believe there was a massive save in the chicane on lap 5. Which I can't go back and accrue, but with Cameron, but yeah. So he has had a little bit of an off, but definitely battling his way on here. Aggressively over the curbs. We might go back to another little battle. Of course, Christian Smart involved with Jamie McKnight. Already got back past Jamie. These boys all tucked up behind Tim Mulford.
We've got Tim Mulford, Matty Mascord, Christian Smart and Jamie McKnight just dangling off the back of that trio at the moment.
Of course, Jamie McKnight's strategy board, aka Beautiful Minds. He'd be calculating the strategy sitting behind these boys of what he can do and can't do, particularly with the fact they've got to do a stint with old tyres.
I think the old tyres are going to be pretty tough to handle around here.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how these guys tackle this one. I know in vets it was all about the tyre wear. And Mulford getting past there. We saw that one live. And we might go find another battle pack, go check what's going on with Michael Whiting. Cameron Jones starting to close that gap down.
Jordan Ross really has got plenty of pace in that car, which he was trying to deceive us in qualifying. But yeah, like the pace he's got in the car at the moment is very, very strong. Probably one of the quickest on track.
Definitely showing a good ability. No quality driver is our Jordan. Just trying to get some fun facts, of course.
We've got a bit of a battle looming between Cam Jones, Michael Whiting. Cam trying to get the job done on him at the moment. And then just behind this pack, we've got Harrison Dengate and Sean Rigby in a pretty tight battle as well.
Of course, Sean Rigby, one of the newer drivers in this season, starting to find his feet a bit. Jones definitely all over the back of Whiting at the moment. Trying to reel in the big fish. He's the 9.5 Sim Sports driver. Lap 10 of 56 gone at the moment. I might just check on up the front. James Scott, of course, is 7.5 seconds up the road from Blake Warboys. Warboys has nearly got himself a second clear of Hobson now.
Yeah, Blake doing an excellent job as well.
And we go back then to Jordan Ross, the man who's up 10 spots. So we can see the Banner Alliance car in the background with Paul Young. And if we look down the back of the road, if we get a good straight section, you'll see the blue SSR rocket of Jordan Ross. And you see how he closes this gap down. Youngie's last lap was a 1:40.95. Ross was a 1:40.64. Put that in comparison. Warboys was a 1:40.101 and a 1:40.1 for James Scott. So these guys setting some good times again now.
Yeah, Jordan's just slowly inching towards the back of Paul Young here. He's still about 3 seconds behind, a bit over 3 seconds behind. So it'll be interesting to see how that gap closes as we start heading towards the pit stops.
Michael Whiting's rolled off already. Interesting. Only 11 laps in. Of course, very short pit lane.
Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't watch to see if he took tyres or not, but he's only got one set of tyres. That's a lot of laps to do.
It's a lot of laps. Mental arithmetic in my own head. Might just jump back. Rigby Dengate. Dengate just getting past Sean there. Sean tucking straight up behind. Warren Davis trying to join the back of these boys.
Well, the more these two battle, the closer Warren Davis is getting, and yeah, good on Warren. He's doing a good job out there for the Banner Alliance team. So,
H cooked it.
Very easy to do into that little downhill section coming into the second last corner there. Managed to do that a few times myself when practicing around here.
Definitely managed to keep it together, but loses 2 spots. Yeah, it's a battle.
And it'll take a little while for them tyres to recover. As you can see, him still getting sideways through the big sweeping corner there. So yeah, it'll take a lap to recover these tyres as long as he drives it straight.
And Hobson's starting to put a little bit of pressure on Warboys. That gap closing down to half a second.
And go with another big lock up into Adelaide, losing more ground.
Let's have a quick look at the replay on that one. Now, Cheap Auto replay jumping in. Missed his brake marker by about that much. Well, could have been worse. Jump back to live. Warren Davis now tucked up behind Sean Rigby. Of course, 13 or so laps in, Hobson into the pits. Some interesting strategy at play here.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by these early pit stops, to be honest.
Yeah, I would have thought you would have gone long in this first set. And a short stint in the middle. And a reasonable long stint again on a new set of tyres. So, yeah, I would have played it. The Warboy's out by himself now. No one around to play with. Damien Johnstone still trying to catch back up to Cam Jones. There's some good little battles.
Jordan Ross has closed that gap to Paul Young by a bit over a second in 4 laps. So it won't be long and Jordan will be right on the back of
Paul Young.
Paul Young. Yep.
He's got the nose down. This is some fun fact. Paul Young's never won a race at East Coast from his 87 starts.
A race or a round, because I thought Paul had won a couple of sprint rounds. Sprint races, sorry, not rounds.
Not sure, it's not showing up in the stats I'm looking at the moment. You could be right, Mark. And of course, with 87 races, start again. But yeah, Youngie's done 87. Harrison Dengate and Chris Smart have done 88 races. And Blake Warboys has done 89. Michael Whiting's done 78. So a few boys here chalked up a few Ks here at East Coast.
Yeah, without a doubt. So by the middle of next season, we'll probably be hitting a few centuries.
Yeah. Pretty scary facts. Of course, those top 4 guys, young up to war boys, have all done over 10,000 miles of races.
Not that their wives would know.
Nah. But Paul starting to come under pressure from Jordan. Okay, definitely full of the fun facts tonight. And interestingly, out of that is top 4. 587 incident points for Paul Young. Chris Smart, 702. There's Jordan Ross goes in the pits. Harrison Dengate, 794. Blows them away. Of course, jump on Matty Mascot, battling away. Speaking of Dengate. Exuberance of youth of Dengate there with those incident points, I'd imagine. Matty doing really well. Starting to show some good speed.
Yeah, good to see Matty getting some regular sim time again. He had a little bit of time off with work and family commitments, and yeah, it's good to see him back in the rig and getting some regular seat time, and yeah, out there enjoying himself a few years ago.
Oh, big dive. Gets it pulled up. Nice move.
Yeah, nice move on the brakes there.
Of course, Ross in at lap 14, Hobson at lap 12, Whiting at lap 10, as James Scott at the moment on lap 15. About to start lap 16.
Yeah, James Scott doing an excellent job, as we have become used to. Yeah, out in front, and really we've got Daylight second, and Blake Warburg's just pitted as well. So yeah, the 15 lap mark is looking like it's pretty common theme around here for pits.
Yeah. Still got to go long at some stage. Deal with those old tyres. Dengate still in the top 10. He ducks in as well. So obviously that's a WK&P strategy.
I'd imagine everybody's kept their current tyres on, and probably try and get to around lap 32 or something, 35, and then yeah, run the second set of tyres on.
Of course, WK&P boys with Ryan in as crew chief tonight. Ryan, crew chief on Thursday night. Got to calculate the right number of laps. Left me half a lap short of fuel. Not a pleasant place at Daytona to roll around watching everyone blast past.
No, you don't want to be running out of fuel at Daytona with a lap or two to go. That's when you need pedal to the metal around there.
Yeah, there you go, experience. Right, these guys having a good little crack here. Warren Davis, Sean Rigby.
So you're telling me you and James Scott don't fuel save, John?
Look, I've starting to become a little bit of a student of the Hoffy school of fuel saving. I've changed the way I go about it. I was one of these ones that was doing the big clutching and hoping, and now it's more lift and coast style of fuel saving, which keeps the car in a lot more control and feels a lot more stable.
Yeah, Hobby's a good person to learn from. He's pretty miserly on his fuel usage.
Yeah, when we do the old spreadsheet, we I usually ask the boys what fuel number to put in, and yeah, we don't listen to Hoffy. Hoffy's usually about half a litre under the rest of us. Oh, big loose one there for Mulford. It's Hobson here working his way back through. The Hobbo, the leader of our stoppers at the moment, pitted on lap 12. Then we've had Smart in on 16, 15 for Dengate and Warboys, 14 for Jordan Ross. And lap 10 for Michael Whiting. Michael Whiting was the interesting one, as he's back in the pit again. According to that, or we had a disco with Michael. I think we've had a disco. That's a bit disappointing. Let's try and get back on track here somewhere.
Yeah, Michael's 7 laps down at the moment, so yeah, I missed when he disconnected. But Warren Davis has made the move on Sean Rigby, that past lap gone by. So Warren continues his press forward.
And Damien Johnstone's rolled into the pits. We're starting to see a few more guys make this move. Showing good turn of speed as James Scott's ducked into the pits.
Just been keeping an eye on this battle between Rigby and Warren Davis. They've swapped positions again, so they're out there enjoying themselves tonight, having a ripping battle, swapping places with each other.
Oh, McKnight a little bit wide there. Ross having to get out of the throttle to avoid contact with Warboys. So McKnight goes another lap. Jones and Matty Mascot are in. Nicely gets right up behind Warboys. So of course, Synergy Sim race of the Parramatta Isuzu Utes. Signage on the front of his bonnet. As he gets past Blake, oh, bit of a tap. Not too bad though, side by side. No, it doesn't get the job done. So, of course, a fun little fact about the Parramatta Isuzu Utes on the front of the Synergy Sim Racing cars. That's part of the West End Motor Group, which is our banner sponsor here at East Coast. Of course, the West End Motor Group consists of Easy Finance, Parramatta Mazda, Parramatta Isuzu Utes, Parramatta Peugeot Professionals, Parramatta City Haval and Great Wall Motors, Blacktown Mazda, Blacktown City Haval and Great Wall Motors. And of course, if you're in the Sydney market for a motor vehicle or motor vehicle finance, make sure you drop in, have a chat to the team at West End Motor Group. I'm sure they can all help you out. As McKnight gets a bit loose, opens the door up. Warboys had to back out there. McKnight ducked into the pits in the end with that as well.
Yeah, Blake with a little bit of a lock-up, which opened the door for Jordan as well. So Jordan's through on Blake now, and yeah, Jamie is in the pits. We've only got Tim Mulford, Warren Davis, Sean Rigby and Paul Young to pit so far. So they're the 4 that haven't pitted.
So Paul Young now ticks over as our race leader on lap 20 of 56. Getting plenty of legs out of these tyres. Let's just jump back on that Rigby-Davis battle. He's still going at it, hammer and tong.
Yeah, these boys have been at it for quite a while now, and like I said, they'd be out there having a ball. Really, it's always fun when you're in a good hard battle with somebody. And yeah, these two boys are pretty close on every lap. So yeah, they'd be having a ball out there.
Of course, I did have a bit of a dig at Ryan before. I must also say thank you to Ryan because he jumped into your hot seat last week, Mark, and gave me a hand. So it was a very interesting race, to say the least, last week at Sandown.
Sandown always is an interesting place for the V8s in real life and in the sim. The sim probably throws up a little bit more calamity than real life, but it's always interesting.
Yeah, we're just going to jump on. Damien Johnstone's flagged as having an incident. We might just go to Supercheap Auto Replay and have a quick look here. And it looks like it's coming down into Adelaide. Expect a lock up. This goes a little bit too far, a bit too deep. Gets it pulled up, gets it back on track. Nothing to see here. This Rigby Davis, Mulford's in the pits now. Just leaves the three guys to still to pit. Haven't seen a safety car. Mulford drops him back to 13th. Warren Davis up 8 spots here. Rigby up 7. Jordan Ross, of course, the man who is absolutely on a charge. Up 9 spots in 6th. Oh, bit of a lock up. Tried to have a sneaky look at Warren Davis there. Of course, Hobbo about to latch onto the back of these boys. Of course, Hobbo will have fresh tyres. Maybe not, fresh tyres. He might not have taken tyres. Matty Parker throwing all the compliments your way, Mark.
He's paid to do that.
Oh, I reckon he does a good job too, Matty, just quietly. So Warren, is he going to have another look here? I reckon Hobbo's going to have a look here very shortly too. Davis up the inside. And get loose, getting the power down. Keeps Rigby in control. And of course, Hobbo now makes this a three-way battle.
Yeah, this is probably not what Hobbo wants, to be catching up to the back of these boys.
This boy's swapping places quite regularly here. Hobson tries to have a sneaky look up the inside in Emila. Nicely gets that done. Sean Rigby probably respecting the fact that the guy that was in P2 or P3 start of the stops coming through. Obviously running a completely different strategy to these two, is Hobbo.
Yeah, 23 laps in, I'm sure the tyres are starting to feel a little bit second hand for most people on track if they haven't taken tyres yet. With only one other set to throw at the car, you've got to be careful of when you bolt them on. So I would expect everybody's saving the set of tyres for their last stint of the race, probably in the last 22 laps.
These old tyres of Davis. Pushing very wide through Estrol, allowing Hobbo to sneak through. Does he have a sneaky look? No. Tucks in behind. Matty watching from a motel down in Warrigal, down in Gippsland. Nice part of the world down there. That far south of Victoria, probably a bit chilly like the rest of us. And Hobbo is long gone from these two. Rigby's dropped off the back of this as well. I'll just have a quick look at Michael Whiting. That's right, we lost Michael. Tim Mulford's back on track after his stop. Chris Smart, he and Dengate look like they're going to swap a bit of paint. All battling away, or has Christian just got through? No, he hasn't. Young H battling away big time here.
Lap 24, Paul Young's out in front at the moment. He's got a 9-second lead on James Scott, but Paul's still yet to make his first stop. Then we've got James Scott, Brenton Hobson, Warren Davis is in fourth, Sean Rigby in fifth. Warren and Sean still yet to make their stop. And then Jordan Ross is up 9 spots and he's already made his first pit stop. So I expect Jordan to jump another couple of spots when Sean and Warren take their stop, and that'll be Jordan up 11 spots, which is a pretty solid effort for half a night's work so far.
It's a very solid effort. Of course, another solid effort, of course, is Youngie and Davis and Rigby getting 23 laps out of a set of tyres.
Yeah, and they don't look like they're actually ready to throw it in yet.
Definitely some strategies under play here. It's interesting to see how this all pans out in the end.
Yeah, I can't remember what the fuel burn is around here, but I would imagine that Paul Young probably going to make fairly quick consecutive stops.
I may or may not have that information. More likely may not.
Of course, with a reduced field size, we have the reduced opportunities for safety cars to happen. So there was a couple in the vets, round one, split one, if I recall correctly. But yeah, not a place you would think would get a lot of safety cars around here. Plenty of runoff area.
Definitely not really expecting one. I wouldn't be planning on one on the agenda. So James Scott still 15 seconds up the road from Hobson. Sean Rigby. It's done really well. He's managed to pull away from Warren Davis a little bit here in the last couple of laps. Jordan Ross starting to look down the barrel of Davis. That gap closing quite quickly. Ross's last lap was a 1:42. Davis was a 1:45. Definitely plenty of air time for a few of these boys. Tim Mulford. Haven't spoken about Tim for a little bit. But Timmy, he's got the pressure right on the People's Champion, Jamie McKnight. McKnight pitted on lap 19, Mulford on lap 20, so this is pretty much a genuine battle we've got here. So Jamie, he'd be calculating strategy in his head here, what he's got to do. Get some good drive out of there, out of the Adelaide hairpin. As Davis peels off into the pits. So starting to see these guys on the ultimate strategy going in for service. Of course, 30 laps to go. Alford up behind McKnight again. People's Champion has good drive.
Jamie getting the power down nice and smoothly there.
A little bit deep from Mulford. That'll definitely let McKnight get away. And he's gone.
Yeah, frustrating little corner there. I think we saw Harrison Dengate have a bit of an off there earlier. It's just slightly downhill, and it's just enough to put your braking under a fair bit of pressure to pull the car up there.
Harrison starting to put a bit of pressure on Christian Smart now. This is a battle for 11th. Definitely trying to take care of the tyres.
Yeah, we're almost at right bang on the halfway point, and I guess if you've got this far on one set of tyres, then you'll be able to get the second half of the job done as well. So I'm guessing Paul Young is going to be in within the next 3 laps.
Yeah, I reckon you might be right there, Mark. And then he's got the easy right. Just James Scott has pitted Jason. James pitted on lap 18.
And I'm sure the car will feel like it's on rails after doing 20 odd laps, 27 to 30 laps on one set of tyres. Jamie McKnight with a bit of an off there, allowing Tim Mulford to close right back up.
Game on again between these two. There we go. Paul Young, 27, his 28th lap now. Scott was 8. Hobson was 12. Rigby still to pit. Ross, Warboys and Jones. Definitely some good battling going on. These two boys. This is their closest battle or closest grouping on track.
Yeah, these two are very closely matched at the moment. So Tim will be looking to try and force Jamie into another mistake.
But of course, Christian Smart with Dengate. And we might just go a little bit further down through the field. Matty Mascot, of course, he's in the top 10, running in 10th. So, Synergy Sim Racing teammate in front of him in Damien Johnstone. Warren Davis doing really well. He's up 4 spots in 8th. A great drive from Warren. And Cameron G. Jones from 9.5 SimSport sits in 7th. So Cameron, of course, has got Warboys up the road 7 seconds and Davis 6 seconds back. So pretty much running on his own at the moment. As Paul Young has just pitted. You did say 3 laps, Mark, and you were right on the money there, mate.
Yeah, no, I have no inside information, but yeah, glad Paul proved me right. First time I've been right for a long time.
Helps. Scott resumes the lead. 15 seconds up the road from Hubbo. Sean Rigby's pitted as well. Jordan Ross is going to get through here on Young. Young's still yet to be rolling. So next man will be Warboys. Where's Warboys? Warboys is going to come through as well. Jones, he's going to sneak through. And Paul has got himself back out just behind Warboys. That's not too bad. I think Paul would be happy with that.
Yeah, so Paul's taken on quite a bit of fuel by the look of that. So he's already back past Blake. So fresh tyres making a difference already.
Yeah, I think he'd be pretty chuffed. See Jones in the background behind War Boys. He's 5 seconds back.
I reckon every driver would be satisfied with a safety car now to get that second pit stop out of the way.
Behaving for it, but as I was saying, this track being so wide and open and with a smaller field than usual, you'd be expecting us not to see one. As Young pulls away from War Boys a little bit, might just keep an eye on that battle. Might jump back, have a quick look at Dengate. Dengate still got 1.5 seconds in front of him. Christian Smart. A great little drive here from H. Fighting himself back from a couple of loose moments early. And another fellow we haven't talked about for a few minutes is Sean Rigby. Lost all the mates that were racing around him after that great battle he was having with Davis. And he's settling in here quite nicely for a 9th. So you can see Sean get himself in the top 10. I was talking of the top 10, a fun fact for you, Mark. Out of all the East Coast races, War Boys has finished in the top 10 68 times.
That's a pretty impressive track record from Blake. How many races has he done? I think it was around 84, 88?
89. So
89.
76% strike rate.
Yeah, that's a pretty monumental effort. And as we know, Blake's a rock solid driver and a rock solid young man as well.
As James Scott rolls into the pits for the second time. Getting that one out of the way early. Hobson takes the lead. Speaking of Hobson, he raced his 50th race in the series last week at Sandown and has a 94% strike rate, finishing in the top 10. Jay and Ross into the pits as well. Of course, James Scott has a 91% strike rate, top 10 strike rate. But we topped that off with an 84% top 5 strike rate.
Impressive numbers from the Synergy boys there.
Yeah, they definitely come to race, those lads. As War Boys and Jordan still in the pits. Jordan on his out at the moment, so he's rolling. This is their second stop. Might try a bit of skullduggery. Bear with me for 1 minute, Mark. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Blake, how are you, mate? Really quick, new set of tyres?
Yep.
Thank you. There we go. A little bit of gossip for you, Mark. Straight off the horse's mouth. Blake with fresh tyres.
There you go.
Yep, so it'll be interesting to see how these boys bring this home from here. It's the one thing we don't get to see as a commentator when we do these tyre set races. We don't get to see how everyone's actually rolling the dice with their tyres. So, jump back on. McKnight and Mulford still having a great little battle. The old People's Champion doing really well.
Yeah, Timmy Mulford's got past Jamie, and Jamie's up 1 spot, Tim Mulford up 3. Big mover is Jordan Ross. He's made 2 stops and he's still up 8 places.
Where's Jordan? Got that Synergy Sim Racing Ford absolutely flying tonight. Brand new wheel after having wheel failure last week. course, he'd be happy to be back. After
Wheel
sitting
or
on the sideline.
wheelbase?
Wheelbase, I believe.
Took him 6 hours to work out how to plug the USB in.
That's what Tom Freer was saying. There's Dave Baldock's in the chat. And Dave Kirby. Whiting, I think, was Disco Dave Kirby. I didn't see the actual official notice of it, but he just disappeared into the pits on lap 10. Dave Baldock in the chat. Good to have him there after spending last week at Sandown, where I think there was a record number of 200 and something points handed out. And Dave Baldock was in the house of race control. It's a pretty scary concept, but I suppose he'd know what was required to hand those points out from experience, I would imagine. As Hobbo's in the pits now. As James Scott, still 4.5 seconds up the road from Paul Young with 2 stops in the bag. Paul Young still to stop again. As we might just go quick to the pit strategy so we can see how that all looks. Definitely a patch quilt we've got happening tonight.
Yeah, everybody got their own idea on what's the quickest way to get home.
He's battling, definitely working it out. Will Wilson's in the chat. A few boys just got his chat notice. They're 3 laps late. I'm not sure what the go was there. But Scotty looking very composed, showing good pace. What we've come to expect from young James. As I get reminded, former PRA driver. Not sure whether you knew that fact, Mark.
I had no idea about that. Trained by Dave Baldock, was he?
That's the impression I get from Dave all the time when he talks about James. I taught him everything what not to do. But he's flying tonight. Out on track, 5 seconds up the road from this man, Paul Young.
Yeah, Youngie doing an exceptional job again tonight. Good to see him back well inside the top 5. Currently sitting P2. Only made 1 stop, but I think he's still going to be on for a good result tonight.
I think he is. Cameron Jones has rolled in for that 2nd stop. Behind us, that moves Jordan Ross up 11 spots into 4th now. Jordan, of course, has tucked those 2 stops in as well. There we go, just been told by Mr. Baldock that the top 2 drivers are ex-PRA drivers. War Boys, he's sitting in 5th, no one around him. He's got JR 12 seconds up the road, 10 seconds back to Jones. A fairly big spread at the moment, particularly from our top 5 cars.
Yeah, they are pretty well spaced out. Just looking at where Jordan Ross is in relation to Paul Young, and I think Jordan's going to be pretty close to jumping on the podium by the time Paul Young takes that 2nd stop.
Very interesting how it unfolds. A bit of a battle. We've got a little bit of a battle pack here with McKnight, Mulford and Warren Davis latched onto the back of these boys. Davis, of course, has made his 2nd stop. McKnight still has to, and so does Mulford. So Davis having an absolute good drive. Great to see Warren knocking on the door of that top 10 as well tonight.
Yeah, Warren doing an exceptional job. He's probably on nice fresh rubber too, so showing a good turn of speed, and I think he'll be trying to make short work of Jamie and Tim Mulford here.
So Dave Baldock, I hear Warboys is thinking of running number 37 next round in honour of his favourite Vets driver. You're not touching that, are you, Mark?
Did you say something about 37? I couldn't hear that, John.
It's very much a fanboy moment from Mr. Baldock. No, Warren, not making a quick work of this.
Well, it's not an easy track to pass. We've seen quite a few at the Adelaide hairpin, but everywhere else it requires some very precision driving.
Knight a little bit slow out of Estral. Here we go. How deep can you brake? Knight, of course, wily old driver. You'll know when to hold him and when to fold him. Let's Davis through. Davis now sets his eyes on Mulford in front. Of course, Mascot and Smart not too far behind these boys and closing that gap down pretty quick. Timmy under a lot of pressure here. And Warren getting good at drive out of the shadow. Coming down into Lychee. Looks like he's got it done. So the fresher tyres paying off there for Davis.
Yeah, without a doubt. Tim knew he was done and done the wise thing and gave Warren plenty of room, and he lived to fight another day. So Warren Davis continues his march forward into P9.
And Jamie McKnight rolls in for his last stop. So we only have Tim Mulford and Paul Young still to pit for their last pit stops tonight. So lap 37 of 56. It's counting down quite quickly. You'd be starting to think about that last stop if you were young. So Christian Smart, he's coming up alongside Mulford now. Mulford's old tyres, he'd be screaming at the moment, I reckon. And big shout out to Sean Mack in the chat as well. And young Cam Jones having absolute blinder tonight, Sean. Been driving really well. Showing a lot of pace, a lot of consistency. Sitting in sixth at the moment. And of course, the two sets of tyres and two stops has created some very interesting play-in strategies. So waiting to see how it plays out for Paul Young when he comes in for his final stop. But looking at it at the moment, I reckon Cam's knocking on the door of a top 5. Will Wilson wants to know who is Batman. I think it's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, well, I think like Robin's partner. Yeah, I guess, for Paul Young, P2 at the moment, he's done one stop, he's changed tyres, so he's probably going to run this as long as he can now and just hold out and see if a safety car comes, and if not, I expect him to pit probably in the last 3 laps.
The old Hail Mary strategy.
Yeah, why not? When you've got nothing else to lose, yeah, you go for the Hail Mary.
Well, there's still plenty of time. Look, it'll only be a splash and dash. It's a very short pit lane here. Get in to get out.
He took about 11, 12 seconds more fuel than everybody else. So I expect he's got plenty of fuel in the car, and it'll be just a quick up on the jacks and off again.
Of course, I just picked up what that was about. As John McNamara said, the dynamic duo in the combox, Will Wilson was asking which one of us is Batman.
I think I'm Bat Brain.
So Paul, looking very composed. Damien Johnstone is in for a third stop. So not sure what the go is there. No more tyres available.
He might have had incident points.
Don't know, he's parked up, so keep an eye on that one, see if he comes back out. But he's been in for a fair stop there. Could have some equipment issues. So James Scott, 13 seconds up the road from Paul Young. Puts him, I would say, 21 seconds up the road from Hobson. So driving quite well. And this is our closest battle on track at the moment, which is Davis and Smart. They both pitted around lap 30-31. So I'd say they're pretty much running the same strat, these two. So this will be a straight out battle to the end.
Looking like Damien Johnson is disconnected.
That's a bummer. He was doing relatively well, so bit of a race of nutrition tonight. Attrition, new. It'll be Johnston and Whiting both leaving the service.
That leaves us down to 13 cars on track with 17 and a half laps to run. James Scott with a commanding lead at the moment, 14 seconds over Paul Young, and Paul still has to make that second stop. Next best is Brenton Hobson, who is nearly 22 seconds behind James. So absolute masterclass from James yet again.
Definitely in form. Won the last round of the Pro Series. Very commanding drive. Being pushed by Jared Felsell. And Dengate involved in an accident. Let's go have a look what happened to Harrison. Supercheap auto replay. It's coming into the Adelaide hairpin, of course. On the brakes, a little bit late, overshoots. Keeps it on the black stuff.
Seen a fair bit of that tonight. Saw a fair bit of that in the Vets race in round one as well. So no surprises there, and especially with the amount of tyre wear we've seen tonight.
Of course, bit of cheating at this track. They give you plenty of runoff down the end there. Of course, Formula One this week at Monaco. Not much runoff at that place. Oh, a little bit loose there from Davis. Opens the door up. Christian Smart doesn't think twice. He's through. Okay.
Yeah, Christian definitely doesn't need a second invite.
He's away. So Tim Mulford's finally gone into the pits as well for his last stop. So it only leaves Paul Young as the last man to stop. Triple rotor racing. Yeah, it's good to see Jordan out there. Great competitor is Jordan Ross. So Davis and Smart. Davis having another crack back at him here. Warren doing really well tonight.
Yeah, Warren's had a great race tonight. He's been in some really tight battles. He's made some good passes, and I'm sure he'll probably get out of the rig tonight and say himself, well, that was enjoyable.
Been enjoyable to watch. Of course, Christian, another good competitor as well. One of the regular vets boys.
I think the only way we see a safety car is with a blown motor, and it is possible around here because we had one in qualifying with Timmy Mulfer blowing a motor. So I would say that Paul Young's just going to hang out, like I said earlier, and just hopefully something goes wrong for somebody else and he can capitalise on it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we were trying to work on. And of course, the Christian Smart, doing really well here for a bloke over 50.
Yeah, plenty of experience in Christian's hands, and good competitive racer. Races very clean, and is a real weapon around two of Australia's favourite tracks, Phillip Island and Bathurst, of course. Christian loves those places and always does well, but doing a great job tonight, currently sitting in P8.
Will Wilson, saw an ad you ran after the stream last week, John. The one without Hoff, so that would have been... Yeah, that was the Vets Drivers Lounge. Yeah, that's... yeah, Logitech have got a DD wheel. So the Logitech G Pro. Absolutely sensational bit of kit. Have used one myself for a bit. And of course the pedals as well, not too bad. I can get extra 5 kilos over the V3s with the pedals from Logitech. And of course Logitech are a great supporter of sim racing here in Australia, so can't speak highly enough of Logitech and the Pro Series equipment they put out.
Yeah, we're definitely lucky in Australia. We've in the sim racing community, there's loads of great sponsors that keep the sim community busy and happy, and yeah, we've got some fantastic sponsors like Logitech on board for many Australian series.
There's this gap opening up a little bit now between Davis and Smart. It's out to a second and a bit. Paul Young still got himself 5 seconds up the road from Hobson. Youngie's last lap was a 1:41.02. Hobson a 1:46.9. Just to rub insult to injury, the James Scott was a 1:39.95. So James still absolutely flying with sub 140s. There's 43 of 56, starting to wind down these laps. As Mark said, he reckons Paul's going to take this all the way to about 3 or 4 laps from the end, hoping for that safety car.
Yeah, just looking at the lap times, John. James Scott's quickest lap 1:39.062, so 1:39 dead. The only other driver in the 39s in race condition is Jordan Ross with a 39.801. So James has got so much more pace than everybody else on track. It's not funny, and it's no wonder we're seeing him with a 20-second lead.
Absolutely, there we go. I've just put it up on the leaderboard. You can have a look at there, but everyone's best times, so you can definitely see some big differences. Sean Rigby doing really well, running in 7th, being very consistent. Will Wilson, Luke still does a little bit with his Race Stars TV. The vet stuff now is done by SimSpeed. The split 1. Split 2 is done by a young fella called Hamish Munro. Split 3 is done by myself. But Luke produces or directs the Logitech G Pro Series broadcast. So Luke's still involved, probably not as much as he was during COVID, where he was basically every night of the week had something happening. But yeah, Luke's still quite heavily involved in the broadcasting side of iRacing, sim racing. Yeah, absolute whiz on the gear is Luke Lucas.
And I've dropped out of the server.
I think I've still got my my version running. No, I haven't. Get that back up. It's saying it's running. I'll go live again there, so you at least have something to look at, Mark, while you get yourself sorted. So, Hobo's close that gap down to 4.3. You'd be starting to see Youngie in front of him. James Scott on lap 45 of 56 is starting to close down a bit now. These boys will definitely feel like they've gone through the paces tonight. It's a track where you don't get too much of a break. And you really need to roll through the throttle through this part of the circuit, through Estoril. After the car, as they say. As we might jump on board here. So coming through the golf curve, under the bridge. And get the dashboard up as well. Here we go, down to 60 Ks at the Adelaide hairpin. Really got to pull it back into first. Get on the accelerator here. Tyres are going to be a little bit old as we come through turn 6. Heading now into the Nürburgring chicane. Don't want to balance too much. Keep it controlled. Nice, he just cruises through. Hobo just taking it easy now. Looking after these old tyres. Come through the 180 degree corner. And head back up the hill. This time, barreling up into 5th. Up to 200 Ks. Get off the gas, roll it through the Imola chicane. Nicely gets that done. Into Chateau de U corner. Nicely rolls through there in second and 70th. Great, 70th. Doing 70 in second. Running down the hill now. Through chicane corner and into the Lychee complex. Right back to second. Cruise it back through the Lychee chicane now. 100 Ks. Bounce it over the curves. Hit them hard. Gets good drive coming out. Across the start finish line. Into the grand curb. 190 Ks. A lot of work going through the side load of these tyres here. 180. Estoril corner just keeps going and going and going. You just keep asking more and more from your tyres. And then we head back down the straightaway again. Through Gulf and down Adelaide hairpin. Highest part of the track, 250 kilometres an hour. Hard brake back to 60 Ks. 40 Ks even in that case of Hobo this time. It is a tough track, this place. Tough, tough, tough. As jump back off. So the champ, 2 times champ, Brenton Hobson. Absolute blinder. What lap was that one? That was a 147. Paul Young in front now. Those tyres must be really starting to hurt a bit with a 141.5. So definitely battling away to bring it home strong. Jordan Ross, of course, he's a little bit further back from Hobson. So he's about 13 seconds behind. Jordan up 11 spots. Struggled to set a good time in quali, but has been setting some cracking times during the race. The second fastest man on track behind the man in P1, James Scott. Absolute precision driving tonight from the Synergy Sim Racing team boss. So definitely looking forward to it. The Triple Raider Racing, looking forward to VIR next week. Great track. Too long since we've raced there. Yes, Virginia. Of course, it's the new layout that we've got on iRacing as well. Well, not new layout, sorry, new scan, where they've removed Oak Tree. So it's going to be interesting to see what that's like. With Oak Tree removed.
Yes, that will be interesting to see what that like. Great part of the track up there at the Oak Tree, so it'll be interesting to see what that looks like now. Yeah, and it is a great track, always fun to drive.
Yeah, looking forward to it myself. Of course, vets are in there as well. Of course, vets this week doing the Cup course at Watkins Glen. So that will be very interesting as well. It's been a long time since we've done the Cup course.
Yeah, it's been a lot of seasons since the Cup course was driven in the V8's. Another track that's always good fun. And of course the vets winding down their season, I think with only 2 rounds left to run.
Yes, we got that in VIR, so yeah. Still plenty to play for across all splits, which is great to see. Dave Baldock upset that his favourite tree's missing. And Jordan, another cracking lap, a 141.2. War Boys, of course, sitting back there in 5th spot. He's pretty lonely drive for Blake. He's got Jones 6 seconds behind him, but he's nearly 20 seconds behind Jordan Ross now. So he's looking after the car to bring it home, I think. And next man on track, of course, after Jones is Sean Rigby. He's done a great drive, get himself up in the 7th. Been very consistent. One less thing for Dave Baldock to hit from Mark Dial. Showing the barbs from down the river. Wilson saying that Dave will run into the stump. So Paul Young now is under pressure from Hobson. Said Hobson was catching him. Here he is. And of course, Young still needs to have a pit stop here. Lap 49 or 56. And Christian Smart has had an incident. It's Jamie. What's Smarty done? Coming down in Adelaide, I bet he's overshot it. A little bit late on the brakes there. And gets this one pulled up. Someone touches the gravel. That's a little bit different than the rest of them. There's continue back on the live pictures again. Hobson's past Young now. We missed that while we went to the replay. Dave Baldock, I like hitting Cole's tracks. Probably meant to say I like hitting Woolworths trucks. Just cryptically reading a message from Baldock. So carrying on, Hobbo looks like he's going to wrap up PT. He's nearly 30 seconds behind James Scott though. That's been a cracking drive from James. He's consistently racking out these top lap times. Last lap, of course, under 140 again. A great drive from James Scott. He's lapped everybody up to Cameron Jones. He's getting past Rigby there. Hobson is sitting in second, 28 seconds back. Paul Young still in third. He's 14 seconds up the road from Jordan Ross. Interesting to see how long it would take, his transition would be to chuck it up on the jacks, drop it and go. So you can see where Paul Young will roll out, whether he's got enough time there. Got about 34 seconds or 33 seconds from War Boys. So the question is that enough for Paul? That's what we're waiting to see as we come into these closing last 6 laps. Can't see that safety car coming now.
No, I don't think the safety car's coming for Paul, and I think it's going to be pretty tight with Blake. Although it is a fairly short pit lane, but it does take about 8 seconds to get up on the jacks and off again. I don't think he's going to have to put too much fuel in.
Dengate having another off track.
Yeah, tough night at the office for Harrison. He's had a few struggles tonight with grip.
Yeah, was learning the track in practice this evening.
That always is a contributing factor to a tough night.
Yeah, it's never a good thing to do.
My advice, don't practice track time for the first time on race night.
There you go, hot tip from Mark Duggan.
Very hot tip. Put that in your diary, boys and girls.
Lap 51 and 56, starting to wind down here. The boys have all spread out a fair bit. And waiting to see when Paul Young will peel off for his last stop. That's what we're waiting to see, where he falls out, whether he only loses one spot. That's the question. It's a great drive if he only loses the one spot, which will put him back into fourth. Even though he started in fourth, it's a great drive. Just by the sheer fact that he's gone for a different strategy, and it could have paid off.
Yeah, so just, sorry John, just on 5 laps to go, so he hasn't got too much longer to get that final pit stop done.
It will be revealed shortly. Some other good drives, of course. Sean Rigby, he's up 7th. He's done really well. The rookie in the series. Sensational drive. Talked about practice. I know he was practicing last night. And a server up for everyone to jump into.
Yeah, another great drive tonight, Warren Davis from Ban Alliance Racing, and good to see Matty Mascord just sneaking inside the top 10 there as well.
Paul Young has jumped on the jacks. Let's see, he's rolling now. Where is War Boys? War Boys coming down into Light Chi. I reckon Young's got the job done. He's going to jump here into P4. Where's War Boys? War Boys just crossing the stripe now. That is a great effort from Paul Young.
Yeah, his stationary time was 9 seconds, so it looked like all he'd had to do was get on the jacks and get out again.
Yeah, job done. I think he'd be pretty happy with that. Would have been a fair bit going through the mind. Have I got enough? Will it work? They're well clear at War Boys. War Boys 11 seconds down the road. He's only 9 seconds behind Jordan Ross. And race control confirming all compulsory pit stops have now been completed. And James Scott is on lap 53 of 56. So not long till this one wraps itself up now. So the closest battle on track at the moment, still Warren Davis. Chris Smart, you can see Smarty in front of him. Eddie Mascord, not too far behind these boys. Of course, Smart's last lap was a 1:44.9. Davis a 1:42.3. So Warren absolutely flying here. Looking to see if he can pick another spot.
And look, I'd say Christian's made a fairly big mistake on that previous lap by the look at that lap time. But he's still in front, and I'm sure, knowing Christian, he'll make that car as wide as possible for these last 3 laps.
He's coming up into the shadow. This gap closing. Of course, both drivers pitted around the same time. Will Wilson suggesting Warren Davis gives up his 007 for number 40. No, it could be WD-40. It sounds more like D37R, but anyway. It's close enough here to get a little bit of a draft. Of course, if Christian did have an off or something on the previous lap, that would take a little bit of time for his tyres to cool back down.
You could see that gap decrease significantly up the back straight there with Warren in tow. So if he can hang in there for the next couple of laps, you never know what can happen on that final lap.
Through Imola. Sorry. The gap fluctuating again, back out to a second, so Christian getting back in his rhythm, I think.
Yeah, really seeing drivers struggling under throttle with the exits of some of these corners. You can see the cars stepping out on a lot of drivers tonight. Put that down to the reduction in the tyres they have to use.
Making it hard work for the boys. Well, it's James Scott now. He's well and truly through Adelaide Hairpin on lap 55. We're in the penultimate lap. And just checking some messages. I need to think of our driver of the day, Mark. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, the barnstorming driver of the night so far is Jordan Ross for me, starting from rear of grid, up 12 spots, and one of only 2 drivers in the 39s for race pace. So hard to go past Jordan's drive for me tonight.
Yeah, yes, been barnstorming, as you said. I'd imagine with the qualifying he had, that there would have been a few choice words. But he's definitely shown plenty of composure. And I think, more importantly, shown plenty of pace. Like,
Yeah.
139.8's his best. He's the only other driver in the field under 140. Apart from this man, James Scott, taking the white flag from Barney. This is his last rotation around the Magny Cours circuit.
Yeah, with Jordan's lap time he set in the race, if he could have done that in qualifying, he would have been on P2. So that's how much pace he's had in the car. But some honourable mentions as well. Sean Rigby and Warren Davis, I think we spoke about already. They've both done exceptional jobs tonight.
Yeah, been pretty impressed with Sean and Warren. Great to see Warren battling away. One of the boys who've raced in vets is Warren. Of course, the 007 number always gets a bit of a chuckle when you read it. So James coming down through chicane into the lychee curves. Been a barnstorming drive. What we come to expect from James Scott. Another great professional driving effort comes across the line to bring it home in P1.
Great drive from James. Real test of his concentration tonight. Like, it was a pretty lonely drive for him, but he never let up and, yeah, just kept grinding his opposition into the ground.
Yeah. And here comes the champ in P2. Wasn't going to race this week. He's got a holiday commitment starting first thing in the morning, but he's obviously jumped in the rig. He gets himself home in P2. Plenty of points there to bag for Brenton Hobson. This bloke here up 12 spots. Setting some cracking times. Bouncing it over the curves, bring it home in third to round out our podium. Jordan Ross. And then the next man, Paul Young. Great drive with a different strat than everybody else. Gets it home in fourth. Warboys and Jones, these two battling it out here at the end. And nicely sneaks home just to Warboys, not much in that, 0.15 of a second. And then Cameron Jones, of course, Sean Rigby, he's already crossed the line, being the lap down. So definitely a great drive here by a few lads. As try and work out who's making the noise.
Yeah, great drive from the Synergy boys, locking out the podium tonight. James Scott, Brenton Hobson, Jordan Ross, and of course Jordan up 12 spots, gets my drive of the night.
Yeah, very good drive, of course, from the Synergy Sim Racing boys. So they'll be very happy. Lock out the front, lock out the podium. And yeah, 28 seconds ahead of everyone else, as we're saying with James Scott. Absolutely cracking drive, setting a 1:39.06 as his best lap time. Yeah, these boys definitely played for keeps tonight, which is good to see. As we might just do a bit of homework. These guys, Mark, just keep getting quicker.
Yeah, they certainly do. James Scott, super impressive again. And like you said, he won the Pro Series round last week. So he's in scintillating form. And I think you'd find anybody in the Aussie V8 iRacing scene would be hard-pressed to beat him at the moment.
Yeah, he's top of his game. That's great to see it week in, week out here, and then take it up a level to Scops and to the Pro Series, and just see what he does here. Calculate that he is, I'd say probably at the moment one of the top 5 best drivers in the country in the V8.
Yeah, I'd agree with that wholeheartedly, John.
Yeah, very, very impressed. And speaking of the man, here he is. Sorry, James.
Yeah.
Well done, mate. P1.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I don't know. I didn't really expect that one. I hadn't been on the sim since like last week and been away all week. No laps, never driven here. Didn't really know what to expect. So yeah, it was a good win.
Good concentration, mate. Like we were talking about this, you sort of spent a fair time by yourself, and your lap times were just so consistent. And in saying consistent, you know, you were basically getting around sub 140s for most of the race. Do you find that fatiguing at all?
No, not really. I don't know. Once you get into a rhythm, it's not easy to stick to the same time, but it's easy. It's easier. So I don't know. I just got into a rhythm. Car was pretty good. Car was like in the first stint of each set of tires, the car was really good. The second stint probably wasn't so great. But I think that was probably the same for everyone. So I feel like I was driving on eggshells out there for most of that second stint. But yeah, no. In terms of being consistent, that's sort of what I like to work on the most. If you can be consistent, you're probably going to move up. So that's sort of where I like to start.
That's fair enough. And P2 Hobbo, just a lovely little stat for you, mate, is you actually have a percentage, 76% you finish in the top 5 when you race at East Coast.
Well, that sounds pretty good. I'll take it.
Well, of course, last week was your 50th race as well, by the way.
Oh, look at you, the statistician. You're all the numbers, John.
Absolutely. You'd have to be pretty happy with that one, Hobbo.
Oh yeah, I am fairly happy with that. I mean, James is just so quick, but I didn't get any laps, and it's a new track, and it took me a fair while to find my feet at the start there. Like Blake jumped on me and got through, and then I started to get into a rhythm and caught back up to him and had to pit to sort of get away from him, and then after that it was good. I could just sort of cruise, and I really made sure that I didn't lean on the tires at all. Don't know what the other guys were doing, but my best lap was probably way slower than what everyone else had done, but it served me well because I had good pace throughout the whole stints. I mean, I think I nearly set my fastest lap of the race on lap 20 in the second stint. So I was able to be consistent across the run, and I think long run that was good, but one lap pace is pretty average around here. So
yeah, 140,
stuff to work on, but good night all the same.
142.2. The next bloke was a 139.8, and then of course James a 139.06.
Yeah. Pretty much what I just said. One lap pace, pretty rubbish. But it was definitely a decision. I was forced into it because I was rubbish at doing good lap speed, but I made the conscious decision to not push hard early in the stints so that I could have some tyres at the end, especially when we got to run the double stint. You know, you got to do the double stint on the tyres. Yeah. You only got one to change. So I was very conscious at the start to not push too hard and burn them up because it's pretty easy to do around here. A couple of slow corners and stuff that you can melt the rear tyres pretty quick.
Yeah, you got to be very careful with acceleration. Now, the man in P3, up 12 spots, second fastest car on track. What a blinder. Well done, JR.
Cheers, mate. It's like having a whole new sim rig. It's you can't teach old dogs new tricks, and that's pretty much what I'm finding out. It's so hard to adapt. If I was like 18 or 19, I'm sure I'd be all over it, but it's a bit of a struggle at the moment.
Any truth to the rumour it took you 7 hours to do the wheelbase change?
Well, it actually took me like a whole day to figure it out. I didn't really have it turned on. I was driving around. It was sort of like turned on, but I couldn't figure it out that you had to put it on high torque mode. And I was just about to take it out and throw it in the bin.
Well, Mark Duggan's more worried you wouldn't have been able to plug the USB in.
Anyway, we're good now, and I've had to adjust the whole bloody thing, so it's like totally foreign, but that's what tonight was about, getting used to it. That's why I started down the back. I didn't want to like do a burnout and take out half the field. So it was fun.
It's good. It was fun having these boys doing it. And of course, Jordan, you can be the man to do the team sponsors tonight. I'll hand it over to you. You all owe me. James and Brendan, you owe me too, by the way.
Yeah, Roger.
Parramatta Azuzu and Jamie over there at WEMG, Western Motor Group. Works Racing, Dr. Epoxy, Waverton or Watercraft Performance Centre. I don't even know what it is. And I think that's it. Have I missed anyone, have I?
Works.
I said Works.
Dr. Epoxy.
Yeah. No, we're all good. That's it. Now I can go to bed.
Geez, you're not as
There's
you're not as polished. as-
broken SimCube 1 for sale if anyone wants it. Otherwise, I'm going to throw it in the bin.
Told you it's a good jet ski anchor.
Yeah.
The now Hobbo and James, you want to rate his sponsorship call out of 10?
11 out of 10 for the boss every time.
Go with it.
Next week, guys, we are off to VIR. Any thoughts on that before we wind this broadcast up?
Yeah, great track. One of the best on the sim. That one.
Yeah, I'd agree. That is a good track, and I won't be here. I'm out on vacation, so I'll definitely won't be here next week, which is a shame because I would have liked to do VIR. I haven't done a race there, and I would say at least 2 or 3 years. It's been so long, which is a shame because it is one of the good ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a bit
great.
underutilized track on the rotation, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you
But
remember?
it does suit the supercar as well.
Can you remember the one, Mark, we did in Vets where we did that intersection as well?
Yeah, the full course, yeah, it was like 42 minutes long a lap, but it was good fun.
Crazy place. On that note, guys, well, big thank you or congratulations to the podium. Big thank you to all the drivers for racing. Not small field tonight, but still kept very entertaining. Big thank you to Mark for being my co-host again. And thanks to our race control and admins. And most of all, a big thank you to everybody out there who has been watching online and commenting and being part of the broadcast. Great pleasure having you guys all along for the ride as well. And on that note, we will see everybody again next week.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you then.
Cheers, boys.
And
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small. Some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.